There's a much better greeting word than good morning or good evening. For whenever you arise in the morning without justice and see your people living under oppression, that is not a good morning. And whenever you go to sleep at night and your people are in the same condition, that is not a good evening. So the best greeting word that any intelligent, civilized people could give to one another is the greeting word of peace. And we should practice such greetings. If you cannot say Assalamu alaikum, practice saying to each other, peace be unto you. That word is a prayer. We're not talking about just any peace, not the peace that is known among thieves, or the peace among those who have come together for some unified purpose that is contrary to the divine law and will of God. But when we say peace be unto you, that is a prayer that the peace, that divine peace that can only come from man's obedience and submission to the will of God, that's the kind of peace to which we refer. That kind of peace is the peace that God has offered to the world through the mouth of his prophets. And it is that kind of peace that the world seeks today but cannot find, because the world has rejected the way to peace as given by the prophets. And though men today speak the name of Jesus on their lips, their hearts are far removed from the way that Jesus brought that would bring men to peace. And though Israel today seeks peace, Israel has no peace because she has rejected the divine law of Moses, which is the only true way to peace, its obedience to the will of God. The Muslim world is in great revolt and turmoil. And that world is in turmoil because they have treated the Quran, which is the way to peace as given by Prophet Muhammad, the son of Abdullah. They have treated that Quran as a forsaken book. And anytime men forsake the book of God, the way of God, the principles of God, the law of God, you can't find peace. So when there's no peace in your mind, no contentment of mind, because of deviation from the will of the Creator, then that lack of peace of mind is felt in the home. That lack of peace is felt in the family, in the community, in the nation, and in the world. So the world as we know it today is struggling for peace, but they want peace on the world's terms. They want peace without justice. They want peace on the basis of who's got the power. But we want you to know today that neither Russia nor America have the power to bring about any peace unless that peace is structured in obedience to the will of God. That peace will never be lasting. It will always be interfered with war and revolution, and that is what America and the world is now facing. So when we offer peace and we say Assalamu alaikum, we are offering that peace, that divine peace that only comes from obedience to the law and the will of Allah, God. Is that clear? Very good. Then we can get started.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, for many, many years, whenever the mention of Islam came on television or radio or movies or whatnot, Islam was always projected as some heathen religion of some poor, pitiful Arab people who really had not come into the blessing of the truth from the Lord Jesus Christ. Which meant that this heathen world, as the Western press put it, was always in need of being Christianized. Whenever Prophet Muhammad was mentioned, which is very rarely in this society, whenever you read books on Prophet Muhammad, not the man who brought Islam to the world, but the man who was the latest exponent of a religious system that is as old as God himself. Prophet Muhammad of Arabia is not the author of Islam. He was that man through whom the Quran was revealed and the religion of Islam, that universal system that began with the universe itself, was brought to a means of perfection, according to the scholar's view. Whenever Prophet Muhammad's name was mentioned, it was always mentioned by the Christian missionaries in a very negative, vile, even filthy way. So that when one would read of Prophet Muhammad, one would never want to come close to finding out what Muhammad was all about, what was this book, Quran, all about, what was Islam all about. We had no desire to know anything about Islam, looking through the eyes of the Christian missionaries who were the only ones who could represent Islam to us. They made sure that they put it in all of the books that the Arabs sold black people into slavery. A man that sells dope is a criminal. A man that buys dope is supporting the criminal. If the Arabs sold blacks into slavery, the English bought them. And the English did something worse, because they brought black people into America and then systematically destroyed an entire people's connection to their historical roots, their traditional knowledge, and the knowledge of their God, their religion, their language, their culture, everything that was ours. These English slave traders and slave makers destroyed. So if the Arab is guilty of selling us into slavery, the white people who bought our fathers here are also guilty of destroying a people so that they might be perpetual slaves of a diabolical order, which is the United States of America today. Now, I don't want anyone to get offended. I just want you to think No matter what your color is, truth can help you. But it hurts the guilty. I have no control over that. All I can do is speak that which I know is true. And you can do with it what you please. For 400 years, it has almost been an unwritten law that black people in America should not know anything about Islam. George Washington, the first president of the United States, made it against the law for any slave to be taught Islam. What did George Washington know about Islam that and know about black people that he did not want Islam and the black man to hook up? George Washington understood the history of Islam in Africa. He understood that under Islam, black people in Africa built some of the greatest empires known to the world. The Songhai Empire, the Mali Empire, the Ghana Empire, and that great city of learning in West Africa called Timbuktu. All of that was under Islam, inspired by the work of black people who were Muslims. So we can see the work of black Muslims. I know some of you don't like that word. Because if you're a Muslim, you're just a Muslim. I want to make a little point with this. And the reason I want to make a point with this, brothers and sisters, is that we know that Islam has been offered to all of the peoples of the world, no matter what their color is. But if you leave it to the Western man to interpret, he would have us to believe that black people have never done anything in the way of advancement of civilization, which is a bold, outright lie. Given civilization to the Greeks, to the Romans, but we are absolutely the fathers of all civilization, which you, wait a minute, which you Caucasians who know this and hide this from your own little white children to perpetuate a myth of white supremacy which is about to explode in your face in the Third World War. Understand this. Everybody just relax and be cool. We're going to have a good time tonight. And we're going to go out of here. I don't say we're all going to love each other, but I do feel we'll have mutual respect. And there's nothing more that human beings can ask for. Now, if these black Muslims, under the Quran and under Prophet Muhammad of Arabia, went up into Spain and conquered, they were called the Moors, the Saracens, the Muslims, but they were all dark people. Very dark. That's why outside of most of the white mansions, they would have a black man out there as some kind of a servant in a statue, and they would call it a black Moor. Black Moor. But the word Moor, M-O-O-R, is a word that means black. Just thought I would drop that out there. And for those of you who say we shouldn't call ourselves black Muslims, when you say Saudi Arabia, what are you saying? You're saying Black Arabia, because Saudi comes from an Arabic word aswad, which means black. Is that right? Okay, we just want to get our little terms together. Now the Muslims conquered France, southern France, Spain, went all the way up into the gates of Vienna in Europe, mixing their blood, of course, as they went along. So when these blacks were brought out of the east into the west, those who brought our fathers into slavery said, we cannot afford for these people to be Muslims. Because what is a Muslim? A Muslim is one who submits his will entirely to do. Now listen, hear me. Not to talk, but to do the will of God. You can't talk Islam. The very word Islam means action in accord with the law and will of God. That you act out his will. So when a man is acting out the will of God in harmony with God's will, the very power of the universal order of things is the root out of which he springs. And the Quran teaches us that when a man submits his will entirely to do the will of God and is a doer of good to others, what is the reward? It says, there is no fear for him, nor shall he grieve. Let's look at these two words, fear and grief. How have white people ruled the black man? They rule you by instilling fear into your fathers. Your and my mothers nursed us from the milk of fear from their breasts. A scared to death people. It's not white people as much as it is our fear of them that keeps the black man subjected at the foot of a people that he's born to supersede. No, I don't want no applause. I'd rather you listen. Hell, you can save the applause for the OJs. What do you mean, born to supersede? If a people's strength is in righteousness, if a people's perpetuity is in obedience to the will of God, if a nation's strength is in righteousness and its perpetuity is in obedience to the law of God, and if you are by nature born to submit to the divine order of God, then you by nature have a perpetuity in this universe. There is no prophet of God that set a doom on you. But every Western scholar knows that there is a limit to the Western or white man's power to rule. All of them know this. They have preached this day in and day out, and their scholars and their scientists are telling white people every day that America's time has come, and the white man's time to rule over black people all over the world is all over. Why? Because he's ruled unjustly and wickedly, and there is no perpetuity in rule, no matter how much bombs or power you have, when you rule outside of the law of justice. The Holy Quran teaches us that whenever it says every nation has its term, and a term is a fixed period of time. And when its term comes, it cannot hold back time. It can't go beyond its term. And the thing that fixes a nation's time is that nation's obedience or lack of it to divine law, divine order, divine principle. You just can't raise hell and get away with it forever. The Quran teaches that for every deed there's a consequence. And when you rape and rob and pillage and lie and cheat and steal and corrupt, you've got to pay a price for that sooner or later. And that is why I'm so glad you invited us to Trenton State College, that we may be very clear in telling you that this world's time to raise hell is up. And if you are going to be a hell raiser after the order of white people and after the order of this world, your time is also up. And the only way you can get out from under the sentence of death that is on this world is you have to accept that which lives beyond this world. And the only thing that lives beyond this world is obedience to the immutable laws and principles upon which this universe is created. And if you're willing to obey the divine order of Almighty God, then you can get out. And that goes for white folks too. I know this is hard. Hell, I didn't think it was going to be easy. But did you think that you could raise hell and just get away with it? Live this faggot, degenerate life? Popping your pills and doing all your filth, and you didn't think that someday you had to pay for all of this lovely life that you thought you were living? Why you talk like this, Farrakhan? Ain't you afraid? Hell no. What am I afraid of? Who should I be afraid of? The government? Bombs and guns? What the hell can you do with it? You may have the power to shoot, but that's all. No, we don't never fear that. Not a Muslim. When a man submits to God, that's the first thing that leaves him. Fear. And once he leaves off of fear, then he can stand up like a man and tell the truth regardless of circumstances. And that alone, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, is salvation to the black man, when you can stand up again free of fear of men and fear only Allah. Fear only God. That's freedom. And then this thing here, greed, that's a terrible thing. You look at the world today, people are in grief. The American people are wondering, what is going on? I mean, all of a sudden, with fury, a man comes on the scene, Ayatollah Khomeini. And 40,000 Americans have to run out of Iran. And the Shah is gone. And a new power is there that don't like America for some strange reason. All of a sudden, with sudden fury, Russia moves into Afghanistan. All of a sudden, with sudden fury, the State Department says there are 10 Muslim countries that Americans should not travel in. Why are the Muslims all of a sudden angry with America? The American people don't know what is going on. They put their trust in their government. In the Chicago Tribune 2 days ago, there was not an editorial, but an opinion on the opinion page saying that the government, the Congress of the United States, is the most corrupt organization within the United States. If you measured in corporate America and in organizations, how many people at the top are taking graft, lying and cheating, then the United States government would come up the most corrupt organization ever. I said, my Lord, this is something. I said, well, here's a man, he's talking about his own house, and he calls it corrupt. Well, that's grief. Grief over the loss of respect. Grief over the loss of power. Grief over the loss of the standard of living that America once enjoyed. Grief over the loss of that macho image that everywhere America went, everybody was happy to see America out of fear. Grief over the loss of the power of the almighty dollar. Grief over America's dependence on third world countries for raw materials that make America great. Grief over a Watergate. Grief over a president that does not seem like he has a handle on the seat of power. Grief over America's constant fall internally with strikes. Every kind of strike. Teachers strikes, firemen striking, police striking, doctors striking, paramedics striking, coalmen striking, busmen striking. What do these strikes represent to wise political analysts? These strikes say that America internally is filled with dissatisfaction, and dissatisfaction is the mother of change, and the seeds of revolution are growing throughout America, not only in black people but in Caucasians. They are tired of the American government's constant lying, cheating the American people. Grief. And now the people are in fear over the future. And what am I going to do? If war breaks out, oh my Lord. The students biting their nails. Carter just said, we're going to have another draft. What are we going to do? They're thinking about drafting women. What are we going to do? And the young students are going out saying, hell no, we won't go. You got the right idea. We'll get into that later. Everybody all right? All of a sudden, you walk the campus, you look in the faces of the American people, and you see a face frowned. You see the people in confusion. You see the people in fear. I heard an evangelist the other day on television saying, America is finished unless she turns back to God. This is what Billy Graham is saying. This is what Oral Roberts is saying. This is what Herbert Armstrong is saying. This is what the leading theologians of America are saying. America is finished as a world power unless she turns back to God. But it's more than that. It's not just turning back to God. It's repenting for the wrong you have done and atoning for that wrong by making amends to an innocent people that you brought into America and destroyed and stole a whole country from the American Indian and ripped them off. Do you think you can get away with it forever? Hell no. This is the generation that got to pay. And it's serious. Most young whites, when they look at the condition of black people, they really don't want anything to do with you. If the truth be told. And when they are together quietly talking among themselves, say, look, these niggas are impossible. They know your condition, but they don't know the root of it. They see our savage behavior. They see us destroying one another. They don't know the root of that destruction. They see their own police killing us, and they say, well, yes. On 60 Minutes last night, they had an Irish family where the head or the patriarch of that family was a victim of the United States Army's use of germ warfare, testing out bacteriological war on the American people. Now, look, man, I don't care what you think of me as a Muslim. What the hell kind of government is this that tests out deadly germs on innocent people? And for 25 years, the people didn't know what was happening. Went into a subway in New York and dropped a light bulb filled with deadly bacteria in the subway, spreading the germs and monitoring how far the germs were spread and what was the effect of the germs. Gassed San Francisco. And this Irish American died because of the ingestion or taking in of this particular bacteria. And as they were talking about their government, this daughter of this of this man that was killed in this said he was such a good American. He loved America. She didn't say that it was a terrible thing that happened. It was a terrible thing that happened to him. If it had happened to somebody else who was not so American, probably some of these blacks, they don't give a damn what happens to you. But when it comes home to them, that's when they get really alarmed. This is your government. This is your America. Spraying gas over the people, experimenting. Now, as you look at black people and you see our savage condition, talking to the whites, you may not understand the root of this because your own textbooks, your own history books don't tell you the root of why the black man is in this condition that he's in today that makes him unwanted. Not only unwanted by you, he's unwanted by his own people all the way around the world. And he is in such bad shape, he doesn't even want himself. And that's why you don't find no unity or cohesion among us. We are running from one another. What is the root of it? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad has said to us that when they brought our fathers out of the east into the west, depositing some of us in the Caribbean to be broken and brought on to America, it was the aim not of Islam but of America to strip this black man. Strip him of what? Strip him of anything that would tie him to Africa in a meaningful way. Strip him of anything that would tie him to his religion, to his God, to his nature. Don't worry about the baby. Baby's doing its thing. And as long as a baby cries, that's a sign to you and me that in a few years that baby is going to be grown. And what kind of world are you going to hand that baby? The baby cries now, but when it gets 20, it'll still be like you, crying. Because nobody has handed you nothing but the suffering of our fathers and our fathers' fathers. And there's no change because nobody is willing to make the sacrifice. Many of my Muslim brothers talk about how devoted and dedicated we are to Islam. But I say that Islam is a powerful force that will never let a Muslim sit still under any tyrant as a ruler. Prophet Muhammad never sat still under any tyrant. Overthrow the tyrant. It ain't enough to pray. Not enough to speak Arabic. It's not enough to read the Quran in Arabic. Allah will burn your Arab speaking behind. Now you listen, I don't need no applause. Because if we don't get up on our reading of the Quran, get up on our prayers and change the condition under which we live. For this Quran says that Allah will never change the condition of a people until they change it themselves. So we must pray, but we must also act out the prayer. Let's get back to this. Take a deep breath, going down for some more. Brothers and sisters, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad made us to see and understand that after the black man was reduced, taken out of his name, his language, his religion, his culture, his God, they did not want one person among us that knew Arabic, that could pray to Allah, that could guide us into any type of Islamic worship. Go read the history for yourself. Anyone that they heard saying, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, meaning God is the greatest. Any slave that they heard talking like that, separate that slave from the rest, because we don't want you teaching them slaves about Allah. That's all that Roots on television was about. Kunta Kinte being renamed Toby. And you better not hold on to Kunta Kinte, because we don't want you passing on no African values. We intend to make a perpetual slave out of you. Then for 300 years, you listen to this, the black man sold like you treat animals. Don't you know that has an effect on a people? You make men and women together without love, without marriage, without any kind of mutual agreement, force them to lay with one another like animals. And then the slave master take the babies from that kind of forced intercourse and train up the babies, separate the children from the parents, so that the children can't grow up knowing themselves. Then tell the little baby from Jump Street, if you pardon that slang, you a nigger, you a coon, you a shine, you ain't never been nothing. You were in the jungle with bones in your noses when we found you swinging from tree to tree. You never built nothing, never was nothing. Thank God that I brought you over here to make you a hewer of wood and a drawer of water, because you're the children of Ham. That's why you're black, you're cursed. And you, wait a minute, and then you feed that into a people day and night. Jesus said, as a man thinketh, so is he. You treat a man inferior, make him think he's inferior, then he'll act out inferiority. And for 400 years, you have acted out inferiority, making young whites to feel themselves so superior because you didn't know how to be yourself. That's a hell of a crime that America committed against us. Didn't let our fathers read no Bible, locked it up. Didn't let our mothers and fathers pray. So the song comes down to us, couldn't hear nobody pray. Sometime I feel like a motherless child, a long ways from home. Why are you a motherless child? Because if you knew your mother, you would speak your mother tongue. There's not a white student in here that has not some cultural tie to Europe. That if we say to the Italian student, some word in Italian, they know it. Say to the Greek some word in Greek and they know it. Say to the black man something of his own native language, he don't even know he had a language. That is a robbery. That is a murder of a mind, the murder of a human spirit. And for 300 years, we were not allowed to know. No school for you. Niggers don't read. Niggers don't write. Niggers tote white folks' burdens. So our fathers and mothers learned from the universal book. Out in the fields from morning to night, looking at the stars, looking at the sun rise and set, they began to understand from the universal book that a change had to come and a new season and a new day would come for us. And that's why in that, what they call the Negro National Anthem, they never wanted that lift every voice sung among us. Do you know why? How dare you to call it a national anthem, nigger? You are part of me. You sing the Star-Spangled Banner. You don't sing no Negro national anthem. Talking about lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmony of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling seas. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Listen to those words. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing what? The rising sun. When you face the rising sun, you turn away from the west and you turn back toward the east. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. I don't want you singing those kind of words. And every time you notice a black group stand up and sing that, we get a little pride, a little more pride when we sing it now. When the Star-Spangled Banner is sung, I was addressing the National Bar Association in Los Angeles, California this past summer. And when the Star-Spangled Banner was sung, many lawyers and judges sat down. But when the Black National Anthem sung, every one of them stood to their feet. I said, oh yeah, I see what this is. I see when the judges and the attorneys start sitting down on the Star-Spangled Banner, the day isn't long. Well, we move to we say a little past the midpoint. Brothers and sisters, 100 years up from slavery, we have grown in knowledge, haven't we? We're at Trenton State College. Getting a BS degree, isn't that wonderful? We're at Harvard and Yale now with doctorates and master degrees. But something is missing. 30 million people who don't produce nothing of what we consume. If white folks had a paper for us, we didn't live near trees. In the black. You go to school here, you learn their norms, their values, their standards, their culture, their way. And when you get your test mark, if you get A or B, you pass because you don't think you quote. So you gave them back just what they gave you and you did it so well, there's an A, sonny. Now you can go out and be just like them. And you go out dressed up, cigarette in hand, attaché case. Our country, my flag, our Constitution. Yes, our trouble. Like they had a cartoon in the paper with Muhammad Ali leaning over President Carter saying, "We sick." That's an awful bring down for that brother to have fallen into that kind of condition that he now is considered a Tom by his people. Not considered a Tom. Well, let's go finish this up now. After they put their self in the black man, how did they do that? Give you their image to worship. From the time you were in the kindergarten, you were looking at a white image. Dick and Jane, Goldilocks, Snow White. You don't realize what that did to these blacks here, but we do. We looked in the mirror, and the blacker we were, the more ashamed we were of what God had made us. We don't give a damn what you think about us, white folks. It's what we think about ourselves in the final analysis that destroys us. And if we begin to hate the way God created us, then we really destroy what we hate. See this kinky hair? There's nothing wrong with this. This is what the Creator gave me. Why shouldn't I be pleased with it? You pleased with your straight hair? I'm pleased with mine. Why shouldn't I be? But how did they put that image in you? When they start talking about Goldilocks and you knew you weren't Goldie nor locks? Our hair was so short, some of us, we couldn't twist it with a tweezer. You start looking at Snow White and you knew you were not snow nor white. Then you start looking at the blackness of your skin, feeling feelings of rejection. And you were beginning to reject yourself, reject your black mother, reject your black father. And when they showed you little black Sambo, you remember black Sambo? They showed that to you white children when you were coming up, little black Sambo. If they didn't show it to you, they damn sure showed it to us. Excuse that very definitive language, but they showed it to us. And that's why right to this moment you don't find too many blacks going to Sambo's restaurants. You don't have no problem with us in Sambo's. We'll go to a McDonald's, we'll go to a Burger King, we'll go to Arthur Treacher's and drive. When we see a Sambo's, look like the brother puts his foot in the tank. Gets on by there. But that's all from way back there. They put an image of yourself in your brain that you hate. And right from the kindergarten, you began to look up to things that are white, or things that are bright, or things that are light. And if you couldn't have the white child with the blonde hair, you wanted the black child that is so near white with the curly hair. You understand? Well, how did you get to think like that? Because after they got through telling you about Santa Claus, which is their self, and Jesus, which is their self again. Santa Claus gives you gifts. Jesus gives you salvation. White folks give you everything. So when they start putting that image in your brain, anything that looked like Jesus, since he was a good man, is good. So if you got straight hair like white folks, it all of a sudden becomes good hair. If you are light-skinned like they are, all of a sudden you're good-looking. Your whole concept of good and bad then was tied into color. And that's why my Muslim brothers and sisters, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had a very specific mission. You cannot correct the black man's problem unless you make him see that in his color there is no badge of shame or inferiority. That's why nobody else has been able to lift a black man up and make him proper but the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because he understood what no other teacher of Islam understood. He understood what white folks did to our minds. Now, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad brings us Islam. There were many Arabs that came and tried to teach us Islam. There were many Pakistanis who came to try to teach us Islam, sincere brothers, sisters. But they didn't have the methodology. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the little Georgia-born black man, stood up in America with a third-grade education and began to teach that which no scholar or scientist of religion had heard before. Naturally, then, they would say he concocted it. He made it up. Read the Quran. Is not that what they said to Prophet Muhammad? He made it up. It's made up teachings. But they couldn't defeat the word of the Quran, nor can the words of Elijah Muhammad be defeated either. All of you may try. You may mock him. You may walk around and say he was a false man. He is no messenger of God. He's not from God. He's a racist and a teacher of black supremacy. Say whatever you want to say. In the final analysis, you're going to have to come right on back to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's word and reason with it, because in it is the salvation of black people in America and throughout the world. Now, let us conclude. If, by design, the Caucasians put their self in us, their mind in us, their way in us, then we look at one another through their eyes. What do you think about yourself? Well, nigga ain't nothing. What do they think about you? You're not nothing. So somebody has got to erase what? Erase their self in you and put you back in you and make you actually human again. That ain't no lightweight job. That is a job that it takes God himself to handle. Now I say all of that to come to this point. Elijah Muhammad is called a racist, an imposter. He's gone. His movement of highly disciplined brothers and sisters who gave themselves to the divine law of Almighty God. We're not saying that every Muslim was perfect, but mostly all that I know was striving hard to walk behind the law of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Most of you who know Messenger Muhammad's followers, when you came into contact with us, before we met Muhammad, we were liars and thieves and gamblers and cutthroats and whatnot. No, it's not okay. Brother, your tape is on. Excuse me. Well, I can't wait a year. you saw the transformation that was brought about in the lives of those who followed the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Brothers and sisters in prison, their lives were transformed, not by a lie, not by a trick, but by divine truth that was tailored to the condition of the black man in America. We had Arabs come from overseas saying, this is not Islam. Why are not you saying, making your salat? Why are you doing dua instead of salat? You are not true Muslim. We say, shut up, chump, or we drive you into the damn sea. You don't come here telling us nothing about prayer. What about the spirit of prayer? Certainly you can make position, but if you don't know the meaning of the position, if you don't know why Prophet Muhammad ordered that kind of position and how many times a day and the times of prayer and why, what is the root meaning of that? Shut up and go back home. We'll be over there shortly. Your day to guide us is over. We don't take instructions from Arabs. Not from you. No, when you instruct us, you want us to be like you want us to be. So you be the master and we still be the slave. Hell no. Islam is not no Arab religion. Islam is the nature of God and the nature in which he created everything. So when we come to Islam, we're not joining the Arabs, we're joining a God in ourselves. Do you understand that? All right. Before they studied Elijah Muhammad and his method of doing things, they condemned. And in their condemnation, they united among themselves to find some way to destroy what Elijah Muhammad had built. But as they looked at this strange philosophy and teaching that Elijah Muhammad was giving, that they say is against the Quran, they yet saw people coming up in a pig-eating society who would not touch it. They saw people coming up in a drunken, dope-filled world who gave up their alcohol and threw away their drugs. You had people coming up in a fornicating, adulterous world, refusing to partake of that kind of behavior anymore. They couldn't see the divine law of the Quran being put into practice for our prayers and our saying that Elijah Muhammad was a messenger of God. So now they have worked with the United States government and with the hypocrites among the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's followers to destroy that which the Honorable Elijah Muhammad built, thinking that in destroying what he built, that would ease it all. And we ain't got nothing to worry about now. The nation of Islam is gone. The United States government worked night and day to destroy the nation of Islam, to destroy the Panther Party, to destroy CORE, SNCC, the Young Socialist Alliance, any group that they felt was a threat, wipe it out. Now there's an Islamic movement in America that is Islamic in appearance, but there is no Islamic movement in America that is based in the Quran that can uphold the corruption of the United States government and harmonize it with this book. There is no movement in America that is truly Islamic. that can support a drunken, degenerate world of usury and war-making and kidnapping and injustice. No, no, no. This Quran speaks with clarity against America. Now let us see. So you thought you got rid of him, huh? Elijah Muhammad stood up in America and warned America and you that America is number one on God's list to be destroyed. That's what he said. He said that Caucasians are not a devil, but the devil. Now, he didn't pull no punches. He not no hate teacher. He wasn't trying to rile you up against white people. He was trying to give you insight into their nature that rebels against obedience to the law and will of God. Oh, I know it hurts, but I'm repeating it for a reason. He said that America, like Pharaoh, like Sodom and Gomorrah, like ancient Egypt, like Babylon, and like Rome, is to be taken and destroyed. He said that white people in America were going to give you up, black man, and ease you down and kick you out. He said that they were going to give you their woman. Didn't he say it? He said that that would be the last trick that they would use to keep you bound to them. They would all of a sudden, after killing you for looking at their woman, they would give you their woman to look at. Not only to look at, but to have, to marry. And now you can't go hardly any place in America where you don't find a black man with a white woman and vice versa. It's made front page or in black publications like Jet and Ebony, as though it is something that we should be proud of. Here you ditch your black woman who has suffered with you and me all these years, as though you can't find a black woman that can answer your needs. And here you young white men don't realize that when you kept your woman, you had the admiration and respect of the world. But now that you let your woman go and allow her the freedom to sweetheart with anybody, you have lost your own self-respect. You say, isn't that racist? Hell no. That's just intelligence. It's intelligent for me to want my own black woman. It's intelligent for me to want to respect my black woman like I respect myself. It's an act of unintelligence for me to be seen strutting down Trenton State campus with a blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl on my arm talking about this is my baby. What the hell would a little Jewish girl look like walking down Trenton State campus with a German boyfriend? How would your Jewish parents feel? They would tell you, look, baby, it's too soon. I'm sorry, we can't accept it. No, there's too much pain there. Here we are, 400 years being kicked in the behind and getting no justice, and all of a sudden they offer you a white woman and it's all over now? I know you don't like this, but I'm sorry. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said you were going to be forced to do something for yourself. He warned us before the war broke out in Asia that they had dug a hole for America in Asia. And when the war broke out, it said they were going to hold America there till they sucked her dry. And that war in Vietnam caused America to spend billions of dollars, and she left billions of dollars in weaponry right there trying to flee for her life when the communists overran Saigon. Is that right? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad didn't stop there. He said that you were going to see World War III, which is the final war, and America and Russia would fight. And he laid out how it would happen right on down the pipe. You can call him a nut if you want to, but out of this Quran, he brought it and said, this is this. This is where this is. This is where this is. And this Quran talks about the shaking of the earth. Huh? And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, America is not going to be destroyed with the bombs of Russia, but this is a divinely preserved area for Allah himself to prove his power and mastery over everything. He will bring America down by himself. Now hold on. He said whether you like it or not, the black man is going to rise in America. You can't stop it because God is behind it. He said you would see the dollar fall. And he said it would be like paper, and you would see rich men lighting their cigars with $1,000 bills. We came to his table one day, and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad put a gold coin on the table in 1971. He said, this is going to be the new currency in America. If I just had sense enough then to understand the depth of the man that was in our midst, I could have traded dollars for gold and been a wealthy man today. But because he was so far ahead and we were so far behind, it took time for us to catch up with him. Oh, but the Holy Quran is a true book. It says whenever Allah sends a messenger to the people, then he seizes them with distress and affliction that they might humble themselves. See, it is not God's intention to destroy you. God's intention is to force you to see your mistake and rectify your condition before he does destroy you. And that is why he sends you warners, clear warners, to warn you of his gross anger against the things that you are doing. And you take the warner as some wicked, rotten fella because he's telling you things you don't like to hear. But that man is a mercy to you. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said to America, look, you have 30 million of us. Let us go. Let us go to do something for ourselves. You can't continue to upkeep us. You can't continue to look after us. You can't continue to feed and shelter us because God is divinely taking away your food. Let him go, and God will spare you and your country. They didn't pay Elijah Muhammad no mind. Well, now that he is gone from among us, they think it's all over. The poor Muslims who once followed him say in their heart, well, he's gone now. You know what I mean? We justified in leaving his teaching. His teaching was good for that time, but it's not good for this. How could you be so blind? Now let us see if the man's word is not proven true. Look, America has said to black people, I've gone as far with you as I can go. You got them to admit affirmative action, right? Now are they cutting back on affirmative action? Who is heavy in the unemployment line? Is it you? I know you're in college thinking that when you leave here, you got a big position awaiting you. You got a big position awaiting you, all right. But it's not in corporate white America. If you don't do something for yourself, there's nothing waiting for you but 6 feet of dirt in your face. You can take it or let it alone. You have called the messenger of God a liar. And that is the worst thing any people can do is to call a messenger of God a liar. You have done what every people before you have done. They all called their messengers a liar. They all mocked the messenger and his message. They all said it was a concoction. They all laughed and thought themselves free from the threat inherent in the messenger's message. But the Quran said, wait until Allah brings his command to pass. You act, for I too am acting. And now look and see what your mockery has brought. There will be no more teachers coming to you, black man. You have had all the teachers you are ever going to get. Listen good. From Nat Turner and Denmark Vesey to Sojourner Truth and Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey and Noble Drew Ali and Malcolm X and Rap Brown and Stokely Carmichael. You've had them all down to Martin Luther King, and you haven't listened to one damn one. You had Elijah Muhammad for 44 years, and when his back was turned, we just went crazy. Went into the disco, went to boogieing and partying, carrying American flag, dancing and sashaying and partying and getting funky in the name of Allah. You cannot use Allah's good name to shield no dirty religion under his name. Now he's taking your peace from you. Now here it is. Nobody getting away. He intends to seize you now with distress and affliction that you might humble yourself. America, you are number one. He's got you right now. And you talk about fear, you haven't known no damn fear like you're going to know in a few days. You hear the little rumbling out there in California? You think it's a disco out there in San Francisco called Dance Your Ass Off? They got a place out there called that. Now they're dancing to a new rhythm. The Bay is shaking. Soon it ain't going to be San Francisco by the Bay. It's going to be San Francisco in the Bay. Now you watch and see, brother. All these faggots everybody all right? All these faggots in San Francisco and throughout America, you think that because America accepts your abominable behavior, that God accepts it too? The Quran says of the people of Lot and Sodom and Gomorrah, what is this? Males coming to males with lust in their heart as they should go to a female. What is this? Now all this freakishness is come up among black people. The poor black woman have no man, and the few men that are remaining, either they're in jail or on drugs, or they got their arms bent talking about how sweet it is. But I'm telling you, faggot, you got a day coming, because we're not having no faggots and no lesbians in the world of the black man or in the world of Allah. And anybody that got an ounce of Islam in him knows that the Quran teaches against this abominable behavior. San Francisco just displays it openly. Well, read it and weep. The things that you see coming to America, brothers and sisters, in the next year, 18 months, oh, brother, your own white people are angry as hell at the government. That anger is going to lead to revolution and blood in the streets. You thought you could upset the peace of every other government and get away with it, overthrow their leaders and put in leaders that you wanted, and you didn't think that those kind of chickens were coming home to roost? Then you sit around and you watch. You watch. Your friends, your puppets that you set up in Saudi Arabia and in Cairo, Egypt, they on their way out. The Saudi royal family is going to be overthrown. Nasser is going to be overthrown. Sadat is going to be overthrown. You see, and everywhere you thought you had a friend, you're going to look up one day and see an enemy staring at you. And all these nations that you arm with weapons, those weapons will be pointing at you. Yes, you go into war, America. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said you're going to fight with Russia. And now we see detente slipping away and the war talk building up. All these years you've been using black bodies. When Hitler rose up in Germany, you came and got us, promising us that things would be better for us in America if we went and fought. So our fathers went and fought. And when we came back to America, we were no more than another nigger, shot down by some of the people that we fought war with, side by side in foxholes. Now they became policemen, politicians, putting us down. In that war, you used Joe Louis, a poor dumb black man who was a brilliant fighter, a good heart, but not a wise man. And I remember the signs going up said, Joe Louis, Sergeant Joe Louis, we will win because God is on our side. Using Joe Louis to trap blacks to join the army, to get shot down for a freedom we have never enjoyed. When the Korean police action broke out, I remember some of my friends that I went to high school with, beautiful brothers who couldn't find a job and didn't have any ambition to go on to college. They were inducted into the army and they died in Korea. And this brother couldn't buy a ticket to a movie theater in Washington, D.C. because they didn't sell tickets to niggers in those days in those exclusive theaters in the capital of this mighty plantation. They sent us back in boxes. And then Vietnam broke out. And when Vietnam broke out, history now shows that a lie was stated in the United States government called the Tonkin Gulf Resolution. They made up a lie that the Vietnamese had attacked some ships in the Tonkin Gulf, American ships. And that caused the Americans to rally around the flag, boys. And 50,000 Americans lost their lives in the jungles of Vietnam on the basis of a lie. And the Vietnamese veterans, 35% of the casualties in that war were black, so we are only 10% of the population. Because America don't make jobs for niggas, they make opening in the wall for you, because that's where they want you. In the Army, Sam, in the Navy, Sam, in the Marine Corps, Sam, because we got a job for you on the front line, Sam, because we tired of looking at your black face, Sam. And at the same time that they're inducting you in the Army, they're feeding your black woman these damn diabolical pills. They have made her so damn sex hungry, she's like a hot oven. Shut up and listen. You can't find a virgin no damn place among us no more. Because we don't know what it means to have any self-control, any respect of our own body, but any man that wants us can have us. And all you got to do is pop that damn pill and have a fling all night long. And the music industry helps you out. Let's do it all night long. Do it, do it, do it. Do it. This is the whole mind and beat of America. Do it. Do what? Do God's will? Obey God's law? Get up, black man, and do something for yourself? Do it. Do it. Do it. No. Get down. Get in the bush. Get funky. Shake your booty. And you damn fool keep going on to the tune. But it's going to be different in the 80s. You're going to be so damn hungry one of these days you won't have nothing to shake. The booty will be gone. God know how to fix you. I mean, I know you don't like what I said. I don't give a damn whether you like it or not. I didn't come here for no popularity contest. I came here to warn you for the final time, brother. This is it. These next 10 years will see it all come. And the matter, God know how to fix you. I mean, I know you don't like what I said. I don't give a damn whether you like it or not. I didn't come here for no popularity contest. I came here to warn you for the final time, brother. This is it. These next 10 years will see it all come. And the matter, as the Quran teaches, will be decided in this decade. You played your last few years, and that's all over with. Now let me tell you what you're going to face and what we're going to face. Whole country is set in a sexual, perverted frame. Have you noticed? With nudie pictures, nudie movies, R-rated this, filth that. All you're thinking about now is sex and sexual gratification, pleasure, dope, drugs, but nothing serious. This is to keep you dumb to the destruction as it's coming on the country. Now, Muhammad Ali, our brother, who was made powerful not because of his tremendous fighting ability, but because he stood on a principle. He wouldn't fight in the Vietnamese War because he believed it against and contrary to the religion. He stood for that principle and got respect all the way around the world. And now, America uses him. Go, Ali, go to Africa and tell your African brothers, boycott the Olympics because the Russians have moved into Afghanistan. You see what the brothers told them over there? They look, man, America ain't giving us no guns. It's Russia. America not doing nothing for us. They're using you. Ali didn't know what to do. Ali said, well, the president didn't brief me. The president didn't brief me. You ain't the big news. Brzezinski, Ali. You don't brief Tom. You point Tom's tail in a direction and tell him where to go. So he goes to Kenya and they turn him down in Kenya. He goes to Tanzania and they turn him down. By the time he gets to Nigeria, the black students, are marching against Ali. Because when the Africans wanted to boycott the Olympics, because of South Africa's presence, it was not the Olympics shouldn't be used as a political thing. Now all of a sudden, because America sees some stake involved, we can use the Olympics as political. So come on, Ali, you go and speak our policy for us. Ali comes home and they tell him, bring him on TV, and he says, if there's a war, I'll be the first to go. Well, that's fine. But my mother always told me, if you don't want to catch a cold, don't get in a draft. And I'm telling you, black man, all you got left is your body. And you should hold it. If America say she's in trouble, tell her, yes, you are. If America say, come on, get your gun, the Russians are attacking, say, yes, they are. Well, if you don't go, we're going to put you in jail. Say, that's all right, Sam, I was born in jail. You forget? You say, well, I'm going over there and fight for my country. You ain't got no country. You're a man without a country. What would you be fighting for? To keep them in power, to keep giving you help? Well, you want Russia to be in power? No, I don't want either one of them to be in power. This Quran don't teach me that I'm going to live under Russia or under this kind of government in America. I prefer to live under the law of Allah. And that is what I will fight for, to live under the law and the will of the Quran. This book and this divine law is what we want to live under. because we ain't found no peace nowhere until we submitted to the will of Allah and came into Islam. So I'm saying to you as we conclude, brothers and sisters, in the last 100 days, Islam has been in the news. You turn on your radio, they didn't want to tell you about Islam 100 years ago, 10 years ago. Now every day it's Muslim this, Muslim that, Quran this. All these strange names you never heard before. Now you're hearing them every day in the news. Why? Because the people of God now are arising all over the world. And when Muslims start getting upset, they are the most dangerous people in the world to get upset because they don't fear nothing or no one but Allah. Now your weapons can kill some of us, but they can't kill all of us. You just remember that God is sufficient for a Muslim. And when a Muslim fight, he don't fight in the name of America. He don't fight in the name of Russia. He fights in the name of Allah. And he's slow to anger. But when you stir him up, he will not stop until all is for Allah or under the earth. So I thank you for listening. And I pray, Allah, that you got something out of that which was said tonight. And I pray, Allah, that my brothers and sisters, and I'm speaking of the students at Trenton State, will be themselves. Come to themselves and be themselves. What is this movement, brother? No, we haven't dismissed yet. Thank you. So I say to you, thank you for listening, and may Allah grant you the light of understanding as I greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum. Now, brothers and sisters, it is only fitting and proper that for about 10 minutes we have a question and answer period, that you may have a chance to ask questions. For those of you who would like to purchase the tape